Alright, I think it's time for a refresher on Midjourney parameters. My name is Nolan Michaels. I've made over 136,000 images since 2022. Here are the 19 parameters you need to know about in 2026. Let's start with Stylize, the most famous Midjourney parameter. This controls the personality of the bot, and you can find it in your settings here. It's a scale of 0 to 1000 with 100 being the default. If you give it full control, the bot is going to try to make the most beautiful image it can, which means the Stylize value is actually a scale of accuracy and beauty. If you lower the Stylize value below 100, you're telling it to focus more on the accuracy of your prompt. If you raise the value, you're telling the bot that beauty is more important than accuracy. You can adjust it in your settings like I showed you, but the pro tip is to type it in your prompt using the shortcut --S, leave a space, then type some numbers to add a value. And this whole PDF I made covering each parameter is available for free in the description. Check it out if you want to download the cheat sheet. Next, we have the chaos parameter, and chaos determines the amount of variety you find in your grid of images. You can find it here in your settings living under the name variety, because that's what it does. It has a default value of 0 though. So the pro tip is to raise it slightly at the end of your prompt with the shortcut --C. Hit space and then put a value between like 3 and 9. Anything more than that and you might start to get some really unexpected results. The default value is 0 for a reason. And then we have raw mode. Raw is like a sibling to the main Midjourney model. It has its own quirks. Theoretically, it will listen to your prompt more, but the most consistent behavior is that it favors realism. Like if you were trying to create a picture of a person that looks realistic, absolutely use style raw. And you can trigger it in your settings or add it to your prompt with --raw. If you take an illustrative mood board that creates images like this and you ask for a man, you'll get these. If you try that same prompt with --raw at the end, it will create a realistic picture. And then I want to tell you about NIJI. This is another sibling to the main Midjourney model. Only this one favors anime and illustration. It's amazing, and you can trigger it by adding --NIJI to the end of your prompt. You're going to get the cutest characters without having to ask for it. And you should know that most Midjourney parameters still work with NIJI, as in you can add chaos, stylize, even style raw. Don't forget about NIJI. It's really amazing. Now, how about we talk about aspect ratios? This is one of the biggest levers that you can pull inside of Midjourney. The aspect ratio is going to control the size of your frame. You can find it in your settings here. There's a slider that controls the width and height of your image. You can actually click on these numbers here and change them to whatever you want. But the pro tip is to just add it at the end of your prompt with the shortcut --AR, leave a space, and then write a ratio, a number, a colon, and then another number. Width by height. 1 by 1 is a square ratio. 16 by 9 means we have 16 units wide and 9 vertical. When the second number is larger, it means our images are going to be vertical. 2 by 3 is a traditional poster size. And the pro tip is you don't have to use really large numbers. Like if you wanted to try 10 by 5, that's the same thing as saying 2 by 1. And the reason aspect ratios are so important is because different ratios can lead to vastly different results. I highly recommend that for every prompt you write, you try it in a few different frame sizes. You really don't know what you're going to like more? Try it in a square, try it in a wide ratio, and try it in a vertical one as well. Just look at the difference it can make with a subject like a car. Okay, let's get to my favorite Midjourney feature, mood boards. Mood boards are a way for us to gather some images and point to them in our prompt as a visual reference. Super powerful stuff. Mood boards are triggered by adding --P at the end of your prompt, followed by a unique code. Every mood board you make has a code attached to it. You can create your own mood boards here in the mood board tab. Once a board is created, you can click on this little button here. That's going to add this big long code to the prompt. Don't worry about that for now. And at the front, prompt for whatever you'd like. When I hit enter, I'm going to see my prompt in this art style, or Midjourney's interpretation of this art style. And look at that. Isn't that cool? A fun fact about mood boards is that their codes are shareable. So instead of that big long one, we actually have this smaller one right here. And if you were to take that code and use it in your prompt, you would be triggering my mood board. Something you're going to want to know is that you're not going to see the name I used. On your screen, you're just going to see the code. But from there, you can generate a bunch of pictures and then make your own mood board. My extra pro tip is build variety into your board if you want variety in the output. Like, here's what the mood board is made of, so all of the images are going to look a lot like that. I'm not going to randomly see other colors. If you want other colors to show up, make sure they're in your mood board from the start. And that brings us to the mood board weight. This is our way of determining the influence of the board on the generation. And it's actually controlled with the Stylize value, funny enough. So again, it's a range of 0 to 1000 with 100 being the default. If we want less style transfer of our mood board images, we would lower the Stylize value. I can type --S20 at the end of the prompt, and look at that, like no yellow anymore. You see how strange that is? So maybe 50 is a good sweet spot in the middle. And for the record, that's what they would look like at the maximum amount of influence, Stylize 1000. How about personalization? Fun fact, this also uses the --P parameter, but it's a little different. If you don't include a mood board code after, you're going to be triggering your personalization. And this is your own custom art style based on your preferences. How does the bot know what your preferences are? Well, we have to teach it. So you can create your own styles in the Personalize tab. You can create a new profile here, and then it's going to give you a grid of images. Your job is to scroll through these grids and pick the images that you like. If you do this enough times, Midjourney is going to learn what you want to see. I don't know how it does it. It's not guaranteed to work for you completely, but all I can tell you is that I love my results. So if I generated a samurai warrior, this is what the main Midjourney model would create for me right now. Not bad, like, they're okay for sure. It's a simple prompt. I get simple results. However, if I type --P at the end of my prompt, it's going to trigger my personal style, and it creates these instead. And I love those, okay? Here's another example of a ladybug on a sea-doo, with and without my P code. I don't know what yours are going to look like when you try this yourself, but again, I love my results. And again, we can adjust the influence with the Stylize value. Raise it for more influence, lower it for less. All right, let's talk about the weird parameter. This is another one that you can find in your settings. It's a scale of 0 to 3000 though, and it's definitely going to make your images look weird. So my pro tip, if you're going to use this at all, stick to a very low number and trigger it in your prompt with the shortcut --W, leave a space, and then again put a value anywhere between like 1 and 50. You're not going to need much more than that. It's called weird for a reason. It lives up to the name. Like, look at these. Those are insane. Another one of my favorite parameters, style reference codes. There are billions of art style options to explore, literally billions, okay? You can trigger this parameter at the end of your prompt by adding --SREF, style reference. Leave a space and then type any number you want. Try your lucky number, mash the keyboard, it doesn't matter. You might find something cool at the end. A different art style is going to be tied to each number. And these codes are shareable as well. So if you like any of those styles, copy that code and put it in your prompt. And then my pro tip, and one of the most fun things you can do, is instead of writing a number, write the word random. It's going to pick a random number for you, and this can be a lot of fun to explore with. And then I'll write an extra special bonus parameter that's not in this guide. It's the --repeat parameter. All that means is it's going to repeat the prompt I wrote however many times I ask it for. So if I hit enter, I'm going to get 10 random art styles to choose from. And they're going to look like these. Isn't this awesome? Like, this one here is super cool. Don't forget about the repeat parameter. Diving into style reference, of course, we have the style reference weight, and this is our way of determining the influence of that reference we just provided, whether that's a code or a picture. Like, yes, we can use this code to repeat the style, or we can click on one of these pictures, drag it up into the prompt, and drop it as a style reference. Now, if I were to prompt for a dog, I'm going to see my subject in that art style. We control this influence with --SW, style weight, and then it's a value from 0 to 1000 with 100 being the default. So we could lower the style weight maybe to 40 and dampen the influence, or we could raise it all the way to 1000. Now here's a fun one, EXP. It stands for experimental, but I'll be honest, nobody really knows what it does. It's just interesting to try. And you can trigger it with --EXP at the end of your prompt. You cannot find this parameter in your settings though. You have to type it at the end of your prompt. And the value ranges between 0 and 100, with 0 being the default. I personally think that the biggest change you're going to see is around EXP 15. As you can see from this example, we go from a regular astronaut to something that's a little more fashionable, and then at 35, it's much more like a photo shoot. I'm not saying that's going to happen every time. This parameter doesn't have very accurate definitions, but it's worth trying once in a while for sure. Now let's talk about one of the newest parameters, --preview. Adding that to the end of your prompt is going to give you early access to an unreleased Midjourney model. At the time of this recording, it's assumed that we're tapping into 8.2, but because of that uncertainty, this preview parameter is not guaranteed to run consistently over time. It's definitely going to change in the future. However, it's so much fun, it works amazing with mood boards. Try your prompts with and without --preview. And now let's talk about another parameter that was changed recently, draft mode. This is going to let you generate bigger grids. Right now, for every prompt, you can create 24 pictures. It's so cool. You gotta try it. At the top of your create page, you'll notice a little lightning bolt. It's off by default. You can click on it. It will start to glow orange, and then in your prompt, you can type whatever you want. Let's go back to the Samurai Warrior, and let's use my old tape mood board. If you like my mood boards, make sure you check out some of my prompt packs I just released. We have raw cinematic, stylized cinematic, illustration, anime, manga, and then some absolutely wild styles. There's the full bundle available. It's the best deal. Check it out in the description below. And look how cool a grid of 24 images can be. I love the old tape mood board, and it's so fun to explore this way. There's a small caveat to this whole setup. If you see an image you like, you can't really do anything with it. Right now it's a very small resolution, but we do have the option to click very subtle. That will create a higher resolution version of that image, but it won't be the exact same picture. It's going to be 4 more in that general direction. And then my extra pro tip, when you're using draft mode, explore with chaos. High chaos values. In this case, I'm bumping it all the way up to chaos 40. So this is what it looked like with the chaos at 0, and then here it is at chaos 40. It may be hard to tell, but this is giving us so much more to explore. Well, speaking of resolution, we also have standard definition and high definition. --HD is going to get you the highest resolution possible right now in your Midjourney images. The warning I have is that HD is more expensive to generate, but I think the results are so special. I mean, if you're trying to create pictures that you like, you might want the best version of those pictures. You can find this in your settings here, and the pro tip is to generate in standard definition to start, and then if you see some images you like, you can run the batch as HD. It's going to create the higher resolution versions of your grid. There will be some small differences, but you can go from draft to SD to HD if you want. And then on the topic of resolution, we also have the quality parameter. You can add it to your prompt with --Q, and the goal of this is to increase the coherence of your generation. Now this is pretty hard to demonstrate, mainly because it changes with each model. Like sometimes it's not available at all, but in the future, just remember you might have the chance to improve the quality of your initial generation. Let's get to another bonus parameter. How about tile? Using this feature will let you generate seamless patterns, and you can trigger it by adding --tile to the end of your prompt. I have a bit of a warning though, tile hasn't been working that great in the newest versions. Sometimes you can see an outline around the pattern, and that is not what you want. So hopefully they can fix this in the future. My pro tip is to click once to enlarge it and then click again to see the seamless pattern. That's pretty cool, right? And I don't know if you can see this line right here, but that is the outline I was referring to. And maybe it doesn't happen every time because this looks pretty perfect to me. All right, let's move on to negative prompting. This is where you get the chance to tell Midjourney what you don't want to see. You add it to the end of your prompt with --no, and then you can write whatever you want. Negative prompting is not the perfect solution. It doesn't work every time, but it does work best when you're trying to remove colors, like this example here. The prompt on your left is a bouquet of roses. The prompt on your right is a bouquet of roses, --no, space, and then the word red. And as you can see, we don't have any red roses in that image on the right. That's the power and promise of negative prompting. But like I said, it's not a silver bullet solution, so don't let your expectations get too high. And then let's talk about the seed parameter. This is going to be your way to lock in the starting blueprint of a generation. You see, every prompt you write is assigned a random seed number behind the scenes. It's a value range between 1 and 4 billion. That's why no two people will ever get the same generation, like the odds are just astronomical. However, we can add --seed to the end of our prompt and then type whatever number we want. And if we keep that number the same, we can get consistency throughout our generations. I'll warn you though, again, this is not a silver bullet. Like, I have used seeds to display the changes throughout this guide, but they really only work with small changes. For instance, this prompt here. I used a cat in a blue, yellow, and red dress, all using the same seed number, so that's why I'm able to maintain that sort of consistency. If I replace that cat with another animal, that change is going to be too big to maintain what we see here. Seeds are really great for experimenting with one specific word in your prompt and then documenting the changes. Small things, small changes. And lastly, we have image prompt weight. This might be one of the least used features on all of Midjourney. I can't imagine many people are tapping into image prompting, let alone the image prompt weight. So if we click on a picture and drag it into our prompt box, instead of a style reference, we can drop it in the image prompt section. And then we can ask for whatever we want. We'll keep it simple. Let's ask for some flowers. Image prompting is going to take that image we provided and combine it with what we wrote in our prompt. It's going to be like a 50-50 split. A plus B. So there you see we have the car and some flowers. The image prompt weight is the influence of that image prompt, and we can trigger it with --IW. It's on a scale between 0.5 and 3, with 1 being the default. So we could lower that number for less transfer of our image. --IW 0.5. Now there's a good chance that we don't see the car at all. Maybe we still get the color pink and the colors from the car, but no car. And if we raise the value to 3, we basically just get the car. A pure transfer of our image. That's every Midjourney parameter you're going to need to know about in 2026. But if you want to know the best way to prompt in version 8, make sure you check out this video now. I hope you're doing well, take care, and I'll see you next time. Peace.